It's with great regret and a heavy heart that I've decided to turn in my letter of resignation to the Satanic Temple. I wanted to wait for a little while before putting this out because I wanted to respond to it, not react. A reaction isn't emotional, a response is methodical. First of all, I never became a Satanist. I was born a Satanist. Now, I'm not Lucian. I'm not the pseudo intellectual scholar type. I'm a regular person who adapted the satanic philosophy within my life with very successful results. From music to business to the temple, my laurels are well documented. I should have been unloading trucks at UPS right now. That should have been the height of my success. However, because I adapted this philosophy very early on and injected it into every aspect of my life, I learned how to empower myself and manipulate my environment in accordance with my will. I own seven businesses now. I own an import company, I got a warehouse in Jersey, two wholesale companies with offices in Milwaukee and Miami, a printing company in Milwaukee, my own clothing line. I own a diamond blade cutting tool division and a construction crew in South Florida, on top of the band's touring and recording schedule and the work I do at the temple. I achieve my goals. I don't make excuses for failure. Failure is not an option to me. And now I make more money in a month than most people see in a year, and people still tell me I need to graduate high school. And I don't say that as some sort of bragging rights or because I have some sort of inflated ego. I say that to inspire. If I can do this, anybody can do this. The satanic philosophy works. I am living proof of that. Now, I must have run this story through my head 1,000 times over the last few days, and no matter how many different angles I try looking at the scenario, it keeps playing out to the same conclusion. I'm not interested in shit talking or exposing secrets or proprietary information. I'm not interested in starting some sort of gossip, high school drama bullshit. I think we can all agree that this shit is beneath us all and holds no place in a mature discussion. However, with that said, and in the interest of making sure my kindness doesn't get mistaken for weakness, I think all parties know damn well the information that I could release right now, and I'm choosing not to. You know this, and that's why you had your lawyer send me a 6-page non disclosure agreement you wanted me to sign, and personally, I would sooner wipe my ass with it than sign it. This split can end amicably without turning into an unnecessary headache that distracts all of us from our individual goals. Now, with that said, and in the most humble of reasons, I will calmly state there's been a major change within the organization in the last few months. When this organization started, I wanted it to represent all followers of the left hand path. Theist, Levian, Luciferian, Thelemite. We're already too small as it is. It sucks to be divided. And there's too many laws being passed right now that affect the rights of every one of us, that are being infringed on every day in this country. And I personally believe that now is the time to push back. When the strong do nothing, the weak are allowed to rule. And when we stand together, united, we can take back what is rightfully ours before laws are passed little by little, stripping away at our individual rights. Personally, I would rather cast a shadow than to hide in one. Now, within the last few months, someone has inserted themselves. I'm not talking about Lucian, but someone else has inserted themselves into an arbitrary position of authority and enforcing their personal liberal agenda into this organization. This person is not an original member, and in fact didn't even come into this organization until a little over a year ago. It's funny they say this organization doesn't have titles or hierarchy, but every organization does. My title of High Priest was given to me by Doug and was done to signify that I was the first, and here since day one. This person who denounces the hierarchy has no problem putting the arbitrary prefix of Reverend in front of their name that they gave to themselves, and then barks orders at everyone, is condescending, rude, bossy, just extremely difficult to work with. And it's been noted by pretty much every member of this organization, hence why several chapter heads are going to be leaving in solidarity with me. It's due to them not wanting to ever work with this person again. The catalyst for my recent decision is this person has been assigning chapter heads across the country without any voter discussion with senior members of the organization. I met one of her appointments while out of state. This individual had bluntly told me he had never read the Satanic Bible. He didn't know who Michael Aquino was. He didn't know Aleister Crowley or the Al Jilwa. He had absolutely zero knowledge of the fundamental principles of the left-hand path. On top of that, he was walking around saying waka 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 like the fucking Muppet Babies. wearing a rainbow fedora, didn't even have $20 in his pocket to get into the concert that we were meeting at. I refused to enable him and give him the $20. It was funny when he was sitting there shit talking. I told him to look for the yellow Lamborghini, and you should have seen the look on his face when I actually pulled up in one. This just flat out insulted my intelligence as this person would ever even be considered for membership, let alone approved for chapter appointment. And not approved by any of the senior members? How the fuck does that work? Same thing with the complete tool in Louisville who walks around in fucking clown makeup and fake horns and literally has pictures of My Little Pony on his Facebook page, and he has a background working at Little Caesars. Right. This is the type of person we want representing the organization publicly. When I spoke with 3 out of 4 of the senior members, no one knew who these people were. Well, then how the hell did they get their appointment? Well, I'll tell you. A single person behind the scenes is making their own decisions without consulting anyone else. And you can tell just after a few minutes with any of these individuals that the only reason they're participating in this organization isn't because they believe in the theology or the tenets. It's because they've never done shit with their lives to begin with, and they see the attention that we've been receiving, and they want to try and cling to the coattails in a weak attempt to bring purpose to their pathetic existence. In my opinion, psychic vampires. And the tenets, to me, are crystal clear what to do with these people, and it's not to enable them or to associate with them. Now, I got nothing but love for Doug, man. Dude, you've been family to me since this thing started. But however, this betrayal, it's not going to be forgotten, and it effectively ruined any and all friendship that we once had. And I'm sad to say that, man. When I tried to bring this to his attention, admittedly upset, I threatened to turn in my letter of resignation if the situation didn't get addressed. Rather than call me or talk to me, rather than reply to text or have any contact of any kind, I get an email from the lawyers accepting my resignation with an attached 6-page non-disclosure agreement. Really, dude? After everything me and you have been through in the last 3 years, you've been a guest in several of my homes. You know my wife. I've been a guest in yours. You've embraced me and called me brother. You couldn't even pick up a telephone and talk to me? You had to hide behind the lawyers? What is this, Scientology? And that's the part that hurts the most, man. Pulling the dagger from my back. Especially when the point being made couldn't be more self-evident and valid. And this all comes now on the eve of the monument finally being completed. And now knowing that after all the work that I've put into this organization, and to know that my name will not be added to the monument, it's fucking heartbreaking. It is. And I'll admit that much. Anybody else would feel the same in my position. Now that the personal shit is out of the way, onto the theology aspect of my decision, I'm not an atheist. I'm a Satanist. And many people ask, well, what does that mean? I don't have to answer that question. It's not my place to force my beliefs on anyone. My beliefs are my beliefs. What and how I practice inside of the sanctity of my home is mine alone. And it's not my place to enforce my spirituality on any other practitioner. I support individuality. Who am I to preach my beliefs over anyone else's individual will? I'm not looking to be followed as a spiritual leader. I'm an individual. I fight for the right to be left alone. With that said, how I conduct myself on this plane of existence and the philosophy on how I conduct myself here is 110% based on the teachings of the good Dr. LaVey. It's a commonality that we all agree on as practitioners. Might is right, self-preservation, not turning the other cheek, individual will, personal sovereignty, non-concern for psychic vampires, control of our destiny. These are tenets that we all hold dear, that we can all agree on. And I feel the current teachings of the Satanic Temple don't properly represent many of these traits. It's become a very liberal, compassionate, borderline hippie-like outlook on politics and societal issues, again, being indoctrinated by a single person through a hypocritical and authoritative standpoint on a soapbox of 9 hierarchical organization. I can't support that as a Satanist. I do not support benevolence and empathy amongst all beings. Fuck the weak. Empathy is a weakness our enemies do not share. And I have no compassion for the slow one that couldn't keep up with the rest of the herd. And how someone, again, I'm not talking about Lucian, And how someone who calls himself a Satanist can actually sit there and argue an anti-gun standpoint to me is fucking mind-blowing. How in the hell can you support self-preservation and in the next breath fight to take away the right of the individual to protect themselves? These are just some of the many disagreements that I had that are causing me to resign my position in the temple. Now, the organization certainly isn't going to suffer due to my departure. I have no illusions to my level of participation here. While I would like to say that I wish them continued success, yeah, it's just not a nicety that my current emotions will allow. And I'm not doing this in an attempt to fracture or defame the organization. I'm doing this to distance myself from things that I personally just cannot support anymore. Obviously, this entire situation doesn't sit right with me at all. And like I stated earlier, I'm not some intellectual aristocrat politician type. I'm a fucking soldier, not a politician. And in my opinion, wars are won with soldiers, not politicians. Hail Satan.